Hello everyone and welcome back to Sector 6, and today what we're talking about is the morsel of information that we got as far as Final Fantasy VII's overall narrative goes at the Tokyo Game Show. So we had the first part of Square Enix's presentation today at the Tokyo Game Show, and yeah, there was nothing Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 related, but what we did get was another look at the first soldier, and we got this full kind of trailer. And there were a few interesting bits in there. There were a few characters that pop up that, you'd expect to see, and it's nice to see them. It does kind of indicate that there is going to be some narrative content to this game, but how much narrative content is the big question. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the trailer. Don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for future content. It massively helps. And do check out the other videos on the channel as well. But let's get straight on with it. Okay, so first off, we've got the 30 years before Final Fantasy VII. Shinra began Project Zero as a means to develop the most elite fighting force ever known, which is information that we've got. What we see here, I'm not too sure about. It could be the construction of like a testing facility or something like that. That kind of fits in with what we see in the next couple of scenes. So yeah, I would guess that this initial little scene here, this is kind of constructing the first facility. I'm going to guess it's probably Nibelheim, maybe. I'm not too sure on that one. Then on the next panel, we see what looks like the familiar chambers that we had, that we've seen throughout the compilation, which is where the mechanoids tend, they get tested on. So we've got those being installed here, and here we can see a couple more of them as well, with like Shinra scientists looking over it, doing testing and things like that. Now, this next screen, we get the first glimpse of a character that, we'd expect to see as part of this, and that is what looks like Dr. Hollander just here. You can see where the mouse is doing little circles. That's going to be Dr. Hollander, who obviously we know him from Crisis Core. He was always going to be a part of this game if it covers what we expect it to cover, so I'm not surprised to see him there. How much story and how much information we end up getting, that's all up in the air. And here we can see, we just saw, like, just skip back a second. You can see him injecting, like, the Genova cells into these people. And then you can see basically one of the mechanoids, exactly the same as we see in Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII. No differences here, nothing unexpected. Now, this shot's quite interesting because first off, we get Hollander again, which is beautiful. But it also looks like we've got Lucrezia in the background here. I'm pretty certain it is. I'd be surprised if it isn't. It looks very much like her, but it could be anybody still. Chances are it's Lucrezia, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't. Now, this shot's quite interesting. We've got Hojo here, obviously doing a bit of a job trying to keep his face covered-ish, but it's most obviously Hojo, as you can see there from that still. You can see the glasses, you can see that beautiful smile that he's got, and the hair. It's Hojo, 100%. Now, who is shooting? We know that Hojo shoots a lot of people. I've seen a lot of speculation that we're seeing the scene where he shoots Professor Gast. That's possible. I don't. I don't think this confirms it, but it's possible, I suppose. It does look a little bit like it could be the house. One second. Let's just have a look. So, I mean, it's not outside the realms of possibility, I suppose. It's I wouldn't say it's definitely that scene, but I'm not too sure on this one. It could be. It looks like it could be. I'd assume Hojo's going to be stood here. Let me see if I can find the scene. Okay, so we are now looking. Oh, no, no, we're not. Okay, so we're now looking at these scenes, and let me just scrub through. He's got two guards with him as well. You know what? I think it could be. I actually think it could be. Yeah, so I mean, if we look at this, I've got a feeling that yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Now, could that grain that's on it be a representation of the fact that oh no, wrong window. Could that be a representation of the fact that this is like a CCTV recording? Because like at the start of this scene, you've got Cloud here, he runs over, he plays the video. So could that grain that's on, where is it? Sorry, I've got so many tabs going right now. But could this kind of grainy effect that's going on here and that we're seeing a bit more? Yeah, that's what this is. I'm reasonably confident that this is the scene where Hojo kills Professor Gast. If it isn't, it's nearly identical. It happens in the same place. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much confirmed. Anyway, let's get back on with it. That was a bit of a diversion, but yeah, it looks like what we've got here is the footage that shows Hojo killing Professor Gast, which means that we could potentially also have additional footage. Now, one thing I will say is that if this is meant to be, if it's being framed as if it is footage, we do see that the camera gets destroyed towards the end of the scene. Where is it? What a funny looking camera, guard, destroy it. There you go. Yeah, so there we go. So if it does turn out that if it turns out that that is meant to be that camera's a bit weird, and plus, what a weird camera position anyway. But yeah, it fits the scene, similar kind of aesthetic with like the panels in the background. You can see same sort of panels going on. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid. Two guards. He's got two guards with him in the other scene. Yeah, I think that that is potentially what we're looking at here. But let's carry on. Okay, so we see here that it's 12 years later. So the game isn't set 30 years before Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's actually set about 18 years before Final Fantasy VII Remake, judging from this. And then we get into like a big chunk of gameplay. So, I'm happy to see that there's chocobos and things like that in there. Unfortunately, I didn't get my hands on the beta because it was US only. I am looking forward to giving this a go. I don't know how happy I'm going to be with it, but I do want to try it 100%, especially given that it's got narrative stuff in there. How much of that narrative stuff's going to be new, I believe is open for debate, but we'll discuss that at the end. And it's just giving us a run through all the areas like Aerith's house, the church, things like that. You can see this is how you upgrade your stuff in game, I assume. I'm not going to talk too much about the gameplay because, like I say, I didn't get my hands on that beta. There are people that did that are more informed on the gameplay side of things than me, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much. Oh, Roche is in the game. I mean, it's not, but that is Roche 101 that we've got going on right there. So, hmm, hmm. Okay, now so we're going to get into the classes that we've got in the game. I don't know if all of these classes were available on the beta. Let me know in the comments if you know either way. But got your warrior class there. One thing I did notice here, it looks like he's wearing like a little warrior of light type of helmet. You can see the horns coming off it here. That's what it looks like to me. You can see him a bit there. I don't know though. I'm not too sure. It might just be like a weird Shinra helmet. It looks like it could have that Warrior of Light-ish aesthetic. Now, one thing I'm quite interested in, I don't know if we saw any of the outfits that we're seeing now in the beta. Again, if you've got any information on that, let me know in the comments below. But I do like the way it lets you differentiate between your styles. How you come across these items is going to be the interesting one. I'm pretty much certain that all the aesthetic stuff that's going to be microtransactions. So we'll see what kind of barriers are in place. I'm hoping that you can earn a lot of it through gameplay, though. Like, I'd be unhappy if all of the, the glamour pieces and things like that were kind of microtransactioned off or loot boxed off. I'd like to be able to earn things through gameplay as well. We get the monk. Now, this is very much giving me Final Fantasy XIV vibes as well with the classes that they've gone with. You'll see what I mean in a second. The reason why I've waited a second is because, like, the Ranger and the Ninja class, I kind of feel like they could be the same class almost. Do you know what I mean? I don't get why they're separate. I feel like it'd be good if they were together. It's definitely the Wu Tai thing and the Yuffie thing and everything like that. Also, absolutely love, as a Final Fantasy 14 Ninja player, I absolutely love this cheeky little Shikuchi that we get here. That's stylish. That's stylish. Okay, so we get back into a little bit of, I don't know if it's going to be narrative kind of stuff. I kind of feel like this is just, I don't know, I just feel like this is just generic cutscenes. Generic characters in generic cutscenes. Now, a lot of people have been saying, oh, this is Sephiroth. I don't think this is Sephiroth for a few reasons, to be honest with you. Now, first off, if we're saying 30 years ago was when they started the project, that would mean that Sephiroth, was born around that time because he was one of the first products of the project. So he will have been born around that time, which makes him 12 at this point, because, it's told us exclusively this is 12 years on. That is not a 12-year-old. I don't care how much Genovery stuff they've done to him. This, well, not that, but just this dude here in general is not 12. So, yeah, pretty certain that we're not looking at Sephiroth, other than some pretty obvious facial differences. Like, the hair's different as well. I think people have just seen White Pauldron's grey hair and gone, oh my god, it's Sephiroth. And it isn't. I'm personally pretty certain it isn't. If it is, they've done a pretty piss poor job of young Sephiroth. And also, how is a 12-year-old looking like this? So, yeah, I don't think it is. And this is what I mean. I just feel like these are going to be generic kind of gameplay cutscenes. There's going to be a few characters that we follow, I'm guessing. This guy's probably one of them. The guy that we saw previously, he's probably going to be one of them, not Sephiroth. But yeah, it looks like these are just kind of like generic cutscenes from throughout the game. And we see a few more locations, like we saw Don Corneo's, like the Colosseum, just here. You see Ifrit's in there. See Scorpion Sentinel at the top there, so is that what we're fighting right now? Let's see, does this clear? No, that doesn't clear, so you don't actually get to see what's in there, which is quite interesting. We've got the sewers, Joy, we've got more areas around Midgar, and then we get to see Shiva as well, which is quite nice. And then we get what looks like Bahamut. And this looks like another one of those cutscenes. It looks like Bahamut's absolutely crushing the slums in some way. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on in this last little. That was a cool little shot there, though. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty nifty looking. If I could actually get the. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But yeah, in general, just another one of those cutscenes that we see. Not sure, it seems like there could be like an ongoing narrative thread that goes on while you're playing the game. Not sure how it's going to progress though, with it being a battle royale type game. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of weaves into it. And yeah, that is the end of the trailer. They just kind of confirmed that it is coming in 2021. So within the next few months, we should have this. But beyond that, there's not a massive amount of information in here. It's, we've got a lot of gameplay stuff that's more of the same. It looks as we expected for a mobile game. It does look alright. I think it's disappointing that it's not coming to anything other than mobile, but mobile gaming is a massive market. I can see why Square Enix would want to hit that. They've obviously been hitting it quite well with things like Brave Exvius and stuff like that. This is just the next step in that kind of journey. But I think like the bulk of the stuff that we see comes in these first 4 slides. It kind of makes me... I feel like this is an intro. And I don't think most of this is going to happen in the game, because all of this has happened 12 years ago. So this is the cut-off point after 12 years. Everything before that in the trailer comes from 30 years ago. Comes from like 12 years before the first soldier. So I don't know how... We're not going to see these kind of things happening. We might get some context for some of these things from certain characters that we speak to, maybe. But yeah, as far as actually seeing any of this stuff going down, don't think we're going to get it in the first soldier. I'd be disappointed if we did get it in the first soldier. To be honest, I'd rather see it fully fleshed out in remake at some stage. And get something substantial out of it, rather than it being like a passing thing, or just something tacked onto a battle royale type game to give people a reason to play it, basically. That's my concern. Whereas if these events like Hojo killing Gaston, Hollander and Lucrezia and the start of the Genova project and things like that, if that all goes into remake, we'll see it realised a lot better than we will as part of this game, potentially. I could be wrong. They could do a cracking job on it. But that's just a concern that I've got, just because, Final Fantasy VII doesn't really lend itself to be this type of game. Like, the universe, the narrative, like, this is a bit of a reach, this game, if I'm being completely honest. In my opinion, at least, it is a reach. It's not to say that it's going to be bad. It's not to say that it's not worth existing, but it does feel like a bit of a reach. So I'm just concerned at what level of content we're going to get as far as the narrative goes. And I just don't want people to get overly expectant that we're going to get some massive secret revealed in this game. I very much feel like it's going to rehash things that we already know. And that's probably about it. Like, the shouts of this being Sephiroth, where is it? There we go. I just can't see it. I just genuinely can't see it. He wields his sword completely differently to how Sephiroth does. He doesn't really look very much like Sephiroth. I am not seeing it. I am not seeing it in the slightest. I think this is just one of those generic characters. Like I say, we see 2 or 3 of them, I think. We've got this guy here with the silver hair. Then we've got the guy with the braids. Where is... Oh, I've gone past him. There we go. We've got the guy with the braids, and he's in this scene. And then after that, we've got this one. Now, is this... This is a different guy as well, yeah. So this isn't any of the guys that we've seen previously. So we see 3 of these scenes with 3 different... There we go, that's a better shot of him. It's not, actually. I hate doing this. But yeah, there he is. So, we've got 3 of these guys now that we don't really know. There's not really any realistic belief of who they could be, because if it's 18 years prior to Final Fantasy VII Remake, that'd mean that by the time, this kid looks like he's, 18, 19 at the youngest, so he's going to be in his mid-30s. These people that we're seeing are all going to be older than Sephiroth, going to be out of the story, potentially, and I'm not seeing any correlation as to who they could be. But I don't think any of them, either of the, any of the 3, are anyone of any importance. So yeah, like this guy, I don't know who this guy is. Where's the other one? Young Leslie, maybe? No, definitely not young Leslie, but like no idea who this could be either. Like, it kind of... I wouldn't be shocked if this guy ends up something to do with Angeal in some capacity. I don't know how or why, but that's just the vibe I'm getting with the sword and the style that he's fighting with. He's definitely giving me more of an Angeal Zack Cloud vibe and he is giving me a Sephiroth vibe. Like, he's the completely opposite side of the spectrum, as far as I'm concerned. But, I don't know. Let's just look at him one more time and just see. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. This guy does not give Sephiroth vibes off to me. But that's going to be the end of the video. Like I say, it looks like it could be good. I think a lot of the stuff, narrative-wise, that we're going to get is going to be like a rehash of things that we already know. I don't think we're going to get any groundbreaking information. Judging from what it says in the trailer, this is happening 18 years before Remake. So all of the characters are going to be 10, 11, 12 at the best. Like Sephiroth, he's 30 in Remake roughly, so he's a 12-year-old kid. I can't see what kind of impact we're going to get with him, unless we just kind of see him on the battlefield yeeting everybody out. You know what I mean? Like, I honestly don't see what we can get. Like, I don't know. I'm going to be intrigued to find out. I'm going to guess, if anything, we're probably going to get some additional context or expansion on the events that happen in the 12 years leading up to the first Soldier, if anything. But it's all massive speculation. We need to wait and see. And thankfully, we're not going to have that long to wait because, like they say, it is dropping in 2021. There's only 3 months left of 2021, so it's got to be coming soon. But what about you? What do you think? Do you think this is Sephiroth? I don't think it is, but do you? What do you think about First Soldier? What kind of story do you think we're going to get? Like, what kind of information do you think we're going to get? Like I say, at the start, we get young-ish President Shinra. We get the start of the Genova project. We get all the mechanoids being put in test facilities. We get a quick cheeky shot of Hollander. Then we get another quick cheeky shot of Hollander and potentially Lucrezia. And then we get Hojo putting a bullet through Professor Gast. So yeah, it's all quite interesting. Don't forget to drop what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the video. But more importantly than anything, have a great day.